We just looked at architectural design and how that would help level design. Now let's look at interior design and how that could help level design. So interior design, level design. Some aspects I got from this from a GDC talk in 2015. Very interesting. They were talking about order and understanding where you are. So identifying a structure. So in a sense, each section of a level is slightly different from smaller parts in one. And the meaning for this is individual pockets give enclosure. An example is a ceiling that is like a little bit lower than the rest, or a pavement that's lower or higher. Combined with lights and colors and carpet, for example. So example this. Here you can see that this already actually makes a separate section within this larger section. And because of these three lights, also the Gestalt theory again, gives another section within this section. And this section is there because there's a lower pavement. And then here there's another section. So this is how you can make order and applying a space within a space. Then enrichment and core of being inside a space. So approachability, so in complexity, we do like complexity, right? So we like to see, look at nature as very complex, but we see in there structure. And our brain loves it. But you need to balance it. You need to make something complex, but repeat complexity. So I have a photo for this spatial complexity of composition. So something like this, where you have complexity, but it's repeating, and here also. And there's a great way of enrichment with breaking the lines in certain things, and there's repetition on certain aspects that come back. And there was another example here. This was from a friend of mine actually. This is also implying a dividing space, so order. So a friend of mine was redoing their bathroom and cut the wall out, and I'm like, wow, this is a new section inside a section. And I'm like, wow, this is cool. So so this is like a great example of there's no wall here, but it's implying another space here. Actually, it's completely another space, but so you could say like, okay, it's maybe a bit too much, but this is like a nice example of like really seeing something different within the same room. So here you could see the complexity, and here also coherence and manipulation of enclosed space. Lines are coherent. So let's look at that photo. That's this. Lines are coherent. Yeah. And also this is enrichment for like, okay, there's complexity, but it's repeated. So this gives enrichment and at the same time a comprehension of the space. And so breaking down the space, you want some mystery, you want to investigate, so novelty, so you can repeat, like in Stanley's Parable, you repeat, and something will be very new and sticking out. And the tension, more and more enclosure until you reach this a release, like an opening. So you get more and more like this, that, and like opening. You're like, oh wow! And then this opening feels way more open and way more releasing than it would be just like the opening. Before I had an opening too, like that is also enrichment. All right. Then what can we learn as well, interior design? So expression, mood, tone, and space. So you're telling the story in the space. So world building, world expression, history, what time, period, culture, and stereotypes are we having? So we saw that as well in architecture. So it's the same actually. Inhabitant expression, identity, attitude, how friendly, unfriendly are the inhabitants, what do they want to be, or what are they doing. Identity and sophisticated taste, presentation of the people, so how are these people, what are these people, and the objects, so how are the objects representing these people. Symbolism, So also symbolism is when you move up, it's more heavenly. When you go down, it's for falling and losing and something. It's a bit like the part where you are sliding down, it's still fun, but then really falling in journey. And then you're losing, then you're falling to the abyss. Design. So within design, you need to relate to humans' everyday experiences, and that's what we've been talking about here. So everyday experience is architecture, is interior design, and are the design principles, and is emotional design. And you should relate to the viewer what they see, what they are perceiving, and what they know already. And this is history and culture, of course. Users want to experience what they already know, and then that, because that sounds boring, right? In a brand new way, let's say, in a very unique way. So having, for example, a world in 2050 where there haven't been any electricity, for example, or you take something from history like the steam engine and you put that as a building. The building is now a steam engine building. Or you can mix certain things from history and culture and technology and all kinds of stuff to make something that they can relate to, but still it's unique and different. All right, let's continue with the next part of this lesson.